Hi INFPs, the name is Erik Thor, and in this video I want to answer to a question I got from one of you in the comments, and it's what do INFPs find sexy or attractive in other people? Okay, so this is a bigger question, and I don't mean to claim that all INFPs have the exact same sexuality and experiences when it comes to these things. So what I'm going to do in this video is just go through a bunch of different things that INFPs might find attractive or might find sexy, and then it's up to you to think about what kind of things do I tend to respond well to, and what kind of things do I tend to appreciate in other people, and what things do I tend to like. And now the first thing we need to get out of the way is the importance of imagination for an INFP, I think, because I think INFPs have a lot of fantasies and a big imagination and spend a lot of time thinking about, or imagining dates with other people, or how things you could do together, or things like that. And I think because of that, I think if another person can imagine or engage your imagination or get you thinking, I think that can be something that can be very attractive to a lot of INFPs. And here we can consider things like, for example, imagine a person is willing to role play with you, not in the sense of, what you might first immediately think of when you hear the word role play today, but just in the main sense of, being able to talk about your favorite fantasy book or movie, and to just pretend that you are, yes, wizards in Hogwarts, right? Or you are hobbits going on an adventure to toss the ring into Mordor, right? Like these kind of things I think are very thought-provoking for an INFP, and if you're able to follow them into their dream fantasy world and to play that part and be a part of that, I think as an INFP, I think they're gonna find that very attractive, right? So here I think things you can do if you want to engage and understand that is just pay attention to what it is that INFPs like. So if an INFP has a certain book series that they like, or a certain form of fandom, or a certain form of culture, or a certain form of hobby or artistic interest, if you can pay attention to that and just, get the general gist of it, if it's a video game, to play the first game or a few hours just to understand what it is about, I think an INFP might find that very nice. And it's just a matter of, a lot of the time, the truth is I find INFPs prefer when the other person takes the first step, especially when it comes to the emotional connection, right? So a lot of the time INFPs are private about themselves and who they are. A lot of INFPs don't assume that anyone is interested or wants to hear about their personal life or how they think or what they feel. And so most INFPs don't necessarily share or talk about those things with anyone they meet. So a lot of the time when we meet and talk to INFPs and go on a first date with an INFP, there can be this feeling like, oh, they're kind of cold or kind of reserved or kind of, not interested, right? Because they don't seem to really open up, so maybe they don't really care, right? So here I think you have to consider, a lot of the time when you're dealing with an INFP, it's really good to play the role of the emotional initiator, right? So the person that can, be the person that, what can you say? Like the emotional icebreaker, the person that admits to something private, or the person that allows themselves to be silly, or a person that allows themselves to express interest in the other person, right? So when they can see that, hey, okay, this person does seem to be interested in me, does seem to initiate, does seem to care, right? Does seem to want to know about me, does seem to ask questions about my life, right? When INFP knows that this is happening, that's when you can have that chance of really connecting with an INFP on that level. And when it comes to, the matter of the sexual attraction for INFPs, I think you'll find that many need the emotional connection to get sexually interested in you, right? So it's not always going to be enough that you look good or have a nice body or things like that, right? So it's going to be important that they feel that, you share some kind of emotional quest together, or some kind of feeling, or some kind of, common cause, or some kind of thing that's important to both of you. And if they can feel that you have that, that's the chemistry for the INFP, right? Right there. So this, it can be, if you know that INFP is involved in some kind of community or a cause or some kind of thing that they are very passionate about, if you are able to, you know, join them once or twice just to check out what that's like and to, you know, explore that, just to get to know, you know, what it is that they care about. You know, these things can be things that help really facilitate that. And the truth is, you know, there's, statistically speaking, most INFPs do tend to go for an extroverted and a judging partner, right? So statistically, it's the most common choice. I'm not saying it's the only choice, and I know a lot of INFPs that date other INFPs and other personality types, but I know that the extroverted and judging one is the most popular choice typically for introverted and perceiving types in general. And there is a reason for this, and it's the contrast of opposites, right? So no matter if it's an extroverted thinking type or an extroverted feeling type, these types seem to be able to engage the INFP in a way which the INFP tends to find very attractive, especially how we look at love and romance in these days, right? So here what you can see is, you know, if a person is willing to play the role of the extrovert that speeds things up and initiates and takes action and, you know, moves the relationship forward and tries to push, in a sense, as long as they're able to do it the right way, and as well as long as they're able to be mindful of your boundaries and, you know, respectful of your pace and how you are, a lot of the time INFPs do respond well to that. And it's just knowing that, you know, a lot of the time INFPs tend to be a bit slow to step into things, slow to open up, slow to, you know, engage and take action on things. So just to know that, hey, the other person wants to, is interested in this, is trying to get this to happen, is trying to encourage me, is being very excited about it, is very enthusiastic about it. That feels very nice for an INFP that can be a bit lukewarm in the beginning, slow to warm up, you know. Because the truth is, you know, when you see an introvert get really carried away with something, really interested in something, you know that it's going to be very consistent and it's going to be very big for them. It's going to be really something that they commit to and pay a lot of time onto. And but it takes a long time for them to get started. So the other person is prepared to, you know, jump in there, test it out and see how it feels, you know, that makes a big difference. And the same goes for, what can you say, like the outgoing aspects and the judging aspects of the ENFJ or ESTJ or ENTJ personality types, because these types, they have the capacity to, you know, get you both to feel like a group, right? Because what they are doing is they always, you know, EJs, they create a group and community atmosphere, which means that a lot of the time they make you feel like you're a part of something, right? So a lot of the time INFPs feel different, feel excluded, feel like they don't fit in anywhere. And EJs, you know, they just magically have that capacity to be like, we are a thing, right? Like us as a couple, you know, or we as a group, or we as you and my friends, you know. Like this tendency to make the INFP feel included is something that I think is very reassuring to INFPs. You know, even though I'm a weirdo, you think we're a thing, you think we are an item, you think, you know, like, so for an INFP that can be something that's, yeah, very, yeah, nice. And I want to just quickly say one thing more about the opposite thing. It's the discomfort in it that often makes it an attractive thing, because a lot of INFPs have a lot of apprehensions about, you know, jumping into a situation without thinking, or of, you know, committing to a cause or being part of a group or doing something with other people, because they want to have the freedom and they want to have the peace of quiet and they don't want to take risks, and they like the comfort of being alone and of, you know, not having to be in something. But a lot of the time it's when we embrace discomfort and do things that are uncomfortable for us that we experience the most growth. And this is probably why a lot of people tend to be appealed by these kinds of relationships, because many INFPs, when they're bold enough to take the risk, to trust and to put themselves in that situation with that person, these INFPs tend to feel a lot of growth and tend to feel very happy and very satisfied as a result in the longer perspective. This is not to say that there are not lots of communication issues and other troubles in this, but it's, you know, it's probably the discomfort that makes it a bit attractive too, because it becomes like a roller coaster ride where it's like, you know, this is happening more fast than I want it to, and this is happening in a more organized fashion than I want it to. And, you know, that's a bit uncomfortable for me, but if it's for the sake that I care about, for a cause that I care about, if it's in the direction that I want to go, and if we agree on the fundamental goals, you know, what we want from a relationship, I can be okay with that, and I can kind of like that in a weird way. That's the thing, because I think with sexuality and attraction, it's always a bit of a two-edged sword, because it's like, I think it happens when it's like when you're feeling attracted to somebody, that's always a bit uncomfortable, because there's a lot of fears in that, fear of reaction, fear of, you know, the other person not liking you, or fear of things going too fast, and other things in there that are uncomfortable. But there's also a lot of really nice things about it, because, you know, it's a lot of, it's very thought-provoking to your imagination, to your personality, to your values. It makes you feel a lot of things, and it makes you put in a situation where you have a chance to experience a lot of personal growth and adventure. And I think for an INFP, probably the ideal date, the most like best thing you can do, is probably either a mix of, you know, comfort picks, you know, where it's like, you know, being able to go to a bookstore together or a cafe and just have a nice conversation with each others, and a mix of small everyday adventure where it's like you give each other some kind of weird quest that you want to do, that you can do in the real world, something that, you know, gets you going out together to a different place, but also in a way which blends imagination and reality in a fun way, which allows you to, you know, not just be out in the world, but also to do something silly while you're out in the world, something unexpected, something different, something you wouldn't normally do. So yeah, that's what I think about INFP attraction. What do you find attractive as an INFP? And how do you tend to relate to this? Let me know in the comments down below, and thank you so much for watching.